Probably the most common question I get in the comment section is, what windscreen am I using for my LiveWire One? It's a custom windscreen. I made it about a year ago. I forced myself to sit down and really refine the design, good enough to where I was comfortable with selling it to other people. Today I'm doing a test ride, which should be the final version of my windscreen, at about 100 or 150 miles today, just to make sure that the redesign is going to hold up as good as the other design, or my initial design, which held up for more than a year, about 15,000 miles. Gonna hit some country roads because there's a lot of bumps and stuff. I wanted to make sure that nothing's gonna fall off. And then I'm also gonna do an interstate ride coming back from wherever it is that I go, just to make sure that it's gonna hold up well to strong force winds and stuff like that.
All right, so I wanted to get this out of the way right off the bat, and that is I'm not actually going to be selling a windscreen with this. I'm only going to be selling the mount and the mounting hardware, mainly because I wanted to give people the flexibility to pick whatever screen they wanted. This is a Pan America windscreen. There's a whole bunch of different companies that make them, not just Harley Davidson. I have all the Harley Davidson windscreens, the tall one, the short one, and the stock one, which is I think it's 17 or 18 inches. But I wanted to give people the flexibility to buy the screen that they want. Some people like clear screens like me. Some people like the smoke screens or the dark screens. So I didn't want to sell something to someone and have them just completely locked into one screen. I wanted them to be able to customize it the way that they want to. The price that I'm selling it at, it's going to be with the windscreen in consideration, so into the price point. So I'm not going to charge an absorbent amount because I want you to have enough money left over to buy a windscreen, the windscreen that you want to buy. I don't really know why Harley Davidson and then eventually LiveWire didn't have any accessories for the LiveWire One. There are accessories for it, but they're pretty much all cosmetic for the most part. I can't really think of any functional accessories they have, except for maybe the low profile seat. But even then, that thing's uncomfortable from what I hear. I think that I have more functional accessories for the LiveWire than LiveWire does, and that's not to say anything bad about them per se. I'm very proud of that. All the accessories that I sell, I use on my bike. That's why I sell them, because I know that it could be beneficial for other people. I'm constantly test riding my designs, making sure that they work properly, because I need them to work properly. So even though I'm doing a test ride on the windscreen, I'm also doing a test ride on my highway pegs for my skid plate. So not only do they need to be functional, I also wanted them to be as affordable as I could make them. And again, that's so that I can afford to have them, but also other people can afford to have them. I know that when the LiveWire One first came out, price point was just so high, and then when people would see the price of all the other accessories, and a lot of it was carbon fiber stuff, and so naturally it's going to be expensive anyways, it just kind of turned people off because there weren't really any functional accessories for it. But the accessories that were available, they were just really, really expensive. So I design everything that I sell with that in mind. You know, the highway foot pegs, the design is going to be so that you can take your passenger foot pegs and use them if you wanted to, and then it'll come with a spacer. So if you wanted to buy actual highway foot pegs, which are not cheap, you could also use those as well, because it's essentially the same mechanism. You'll have options, and those options include affordable and a little bit more pricier options. Where am I going? You know, for those that maybe don't know, the most immediate benefit of a windscreen on electric motorcycles is it helps with the aerodynamics. Motorcycles by themselves they have the worst aerodynamics for the most part, pretty much out of anything on the road. A Suburban has better aerodynamics than a motorcycle, because you're essentially pushing a brick through the air. When it comes to the motorcycle, brick meaning us, this big hunk of meat, our bodies, because we're so irregularly shaped, we're not smooth, it creates a lot of drag behind us. The bike has to pull that drag as it goes through the air. It has to try to push the air out of the way. Windscreen is going to help create a little bit better airstream, a little bit better airflow around the rider. A lot of the air that would cause the drag behind me is now getting pushed out of the way by a really smooth screen. Depending on the height of your screen, is you get less buffeting on the chest and the helmet. Now, right now there's a stream of air that's just barely glazing over the visor of my helmet. You know, if I'm going 55, 65 miles an hour, my head's really not getting wobbled around. Now, if I go faster, that airstream is going to drop drop down lower, and so I'll get a little bit more buffeting on the screen, but it's totally fine. All I have to do is just tuck my head a little bit. The height of the screen matters, which is again is why I went with the Pan America, because there are different sizes that riders can get. But with the LiveWire One, my windscreen, and this is my average, and I've given the screen to other people, other owners to test out as well. Our average is about 5 to 10% increase in range. Again, the benefits of having a windscreen are pretty much immediate, and it's something that you'll notice on the first ride. Now, I've tried many other windscreens already. Most of them are like universal solutions, and they work for the most part, but it does come with some trade-offs. Most universal windscreens, it takes up some form of handlebar space, and even then, it's not always like the most elegant solution to mount it onto the handlebars. From my experience, over time, those universal mounts, they tend to wear out. And so as you're going down the road, especially the faster you go, that windscreen will end up coming back at you or rotating over. Again, they work, they're just not really long-term. Mine did not last that long. I needed to design something on my own, so that way I could free up handlebar space on my handlebars, because I have a lot of, I've got GPS and phone mounts and stuff like that, and camera mount. I needed the real estate. And so when I set out to redesign or design the first prototype, I wanted to incorporate something that the bike already has in order to hold the windscreen on. Because I love the aesthetic of the LiveWire One, and I didn't want to take anything away from it. So that's why I designed the mount to go on the front cowl, or the light cowl. I was just pleasantly surprised at how well it works out. Now, the windscreen does move a little bit, but that's because the cowl is held in place by rubber grommets. It doesn't impact the effectiveness of it at all. It's just something to be aware of, that it's going to move back and forth a little bit. Only had the screen fall off one time, and that was whenever I was in Philadelphia, and it was a pothole, but it was really a sinkhole. It literally took the entire front wheel into it and stopped me just like that. I was going maybe 5 or 10 miles an hour with my daughter on the back. Car in front of me, I didn't even know that the pothole was there. I hit it, and the front screen and the cowl just went laterally forward. So I have some mechanisms in place to help reduce that if you're worried about it. But for the most part, if you get the stock Pan America windscreen, the 17 or 18 inch one, I can't remember which one it is, unless you hit a really hard bump that stops you, it's not going to come off at all. I'm going to try to take a little bit of an adventurous route, see if I can't make this windscreen come off. Super windy today. These old country roads are not always as well maintained as other roads are, so it'll be good to see if the windscreen is going to hold up. I had no idea this was going to be a gravel road, but that's still good. Bump. Trying to hit all the bumps. Adventure bike, look at this view. Woohoo, man! Hot dog. That is an epic view right there. Oh, gives you a little bit of vertigo looking down. Why Harley / LiveWire never made this an adventure bike? When I went to 120th last year, the Harley Davidson 120th celebration, I had this bike on display with all the other custom LiveWires that they have, like the Mulholland, not the S2 Mulholland, the E Mulholland. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but this bike got way more attention than all the other bikes. Way more middle-aged white men came up to me asking about this than anything else. So I think LiveWire would have succeeded turning this bad boy into an adventure bike. The screen's holding up really well. Really well. Now, something really important to note is that if you have a stock LiveWire One, which pretty much everyone does but me, which way do I go? Left. you're going to get better range than I do. You know, I've got the heavy Pan America laced wheels. I think they're like 12 or 15 pounds heavier than the stock LiveWire One tire. I've also got my skid plate, which, I mean, it's like 5 pounds. It doesn't really add that much weight. But my bike is higher than yours. Man, it's getting a little bumpy here. My bike is higher than yours, and so it's not as efficient. There's more air that it's having to push through. It's a little bit bigger. A stock bike and a windscreen, it's really gonna give you that added range that you need. Man, I'm just bouncing all over the place here. Some of these ruts.